Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the I Will Aim podcast. Our topic for today is from self doubt to unshakable confidence. Kitchen table leadership. Confidence isn't just a buzzword, it's a daily practice that shapes how we lead, decide, and how we show up in life. In this episode, Simone Knego, an international speaker, empowerment coach, and best selling author, join us to unpack what real confidence really looks like, why leadership starts long before the boardroom, and how her book offers a fresh roadmap for embracing your work and influence. Welcome, Simone.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Looking forward to our discussion. How about let's kick it off with a quick introduction?
Sure. So, first and foremost, I am a mom of six children. I've been married to my husband for 32 years, and I am a keynote speaker, author, and podcast host. But that isn't how I started my life. I actually started as a CPA. I went to college for accounting, have a bachelor's, a master's in accounting, and became a CPA, and changed my mind many times since then. But I know what I'm doing right now is where I'm supposed to be for the rest of my life because I love what I do.
Well, thank you for that introduction. CPA, I'm also a CPA too. I studied accounting and became a CPA, but decided to pivot to do something else.
I have one friend that stuck with it. So I have one friend from college that she is a partner at one of the big firms, but she's the only one that I know still that stuck with it from the time we were in school until now.
My first question is, your work centers on helping high achieving women build real confidence from the kitchen table to the boardroom. What does real confidence means to you, and why in the context of kitchen table, and why it's important to build it?
Absolutely. So confidence to me means being able to be who you are, no matter who you're with, no matter what's being said, that you can be authentically you. So it doesn't matter your situation, that you can be yourself and you can be confident in who you are. And it's so important that we build it because it affects every aspect of our lives, right? When we don't feel confident about something, we don't speak up, we don't set boundaries, we don't take care of ourselves because we think we have to do everything for everybody else. And the reason I like to talk about the kitchen table leadership is because, we've been sold this very narrow view of what leadership is. It's the title, it's the boardroom, it's the corner office. But leadership, those are the decisions that we make every single day, the things behind the scenes, the messy moments. And so many of those things actually happen around the kitchen table. When you think about decisions that you've made at the kitchen table, how they've impacted your life or other people's lives. I mean, that's leadership right there. It's the influence that you have no matter where you are.
Many leaders struggle quietly with their confidence. They might outwardly have some success to show, and people might look up to them. What's the most common confidence trap you see in your client or professionals in general? And how do you help them break that?
So I'd say the most common thing I see is that people perform, right? They're doing
Mm.
what they think that they have to do instead of actually truly feeling it about themselves. And confidence is a skill that we build. It's not something other people have and you don't. It's something that you work on like anything else. So, you don't go to the gym one time and all of a sudden you're super fit. You don't take one Spanish lesson and, become super fluent. It doesn't work that way. You have to work on it. So, it's no different with your mindset. It's no different with confidence because it's something that you practice every day because life comes at you really fast. And so you have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to get back up again.
On your upcoming book, Real, or actually must have been out already, right? Real Confidence. Offer a framework for building the confidence from inside out. What inspired you to write that?
I was someone who struggled with self doubt for the majority of my life. I mean, no matter what we do in our lives, we all have that voice inside our head that likes to tell us that we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, whatever it is. I call that voice the what if whisperer. And I really struggled. I didn't feel like I was making a difference in the world. It didn't matter that I had 6 kids. It didn't matter that I was a CPA. Whatever I was doing at the time, I still felt like I wasn't good enough. And in 2015, I was asked to do something completely out of my comfort zone. And that ask was for me to climb a mountain. And so in 2015, I climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. And not something that I would have ever planned on doing. I'm not a climber. I live in Florida. I have 16 steps in my house. That's about as good as it gets for me. But I knew I needed to get out of my comfort zone. I needed to get out of my own way because I was struggling so much. And that's really where the real method came from, was that, what I realized over that experience was that I can do anything that I want to. I can accomplish anything that I want to as long as I put in the work, and I have to want it. And so I looked back in time to say, okay, how can I make this repeatable for other people? And so REAL stands for respect yourself, embrace your failures, ask yourself what you want, and live without limits. And really the self-respect piece is the foundation for everything. We have to respect ourselves, because how do we ask other people to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? You see a lot of people walk into a room where I'm going to demand respect. But really what needs to happen is you need to demonstrate it to yourself so that other people understand how you're willing to be treated. But if you're constantly demanding it, it's not working.
I think that's so important that you said respect yourself. Do you have any advice on when you're working with a client how to help them learn to respect or value themselves?
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is that understanding that you have as much value as anybody else. The way you talk to yourself is so important. So that's usually where we start, because if you wouldn't say something to your best friend, you should not say it to yourself, right? But so
Mm.
often we will catch ourselves just tearing ourselves down, right? Telling ourselves how that, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you failed at that. And why do we need to do that? Right? Because we wouldn't do it to someone else. We wouldn't do it to people that we truly love. We're going to live with ourselves forever. So we need to learn to be our own best friend. And so that idea of what you say about yourself, what you say to yourself, you have a choice every morning, right? I mean, there are external factors that, you know, guide us in certain ways, but we have a choice in how we react to things. So we can get up in the morning and say, oh my gosh, this is going to be the worst day ever and life is just horrible. Or you can say, okay, what am I going to do differently? And I think that's such a big part of it. And so, really starting with the words that we use. I mean, I have little hacks that I use as well, but that is the basis of, okay, here, start here in terms of change one thing that you say to yourself tomorrow morning and keep going from there. I mean, we see it with professional athletes. I mean, right now I don't know when this episode will come out, but right now the Olympics are on. And so, they're doing these incredibly difficult things, and they get out there and they don't get out there and say, oh, this is going to be horrible, I'm going to do terrible. They get out there and say, I'm going to do my best. Like, you've got this. And it's a whole different mindset and a whole different feeling when you really talk yourself up instead of drag yourself down.
Thank you for highlighting the power of self-talk and also having grace. Like you said, you won't say something to your friends that you won't say to yourself. Without giving away your secret sauce on your book, can you share a story that helped your client build their confidence?
I think a lot of it is about for me, being real in my stories. So I tell a story in there with a time in my life where I had a failure, a pretty big one. Understanding that we're all human, there's not one person that doesn't struggle. But it was during like one of the housing booms. And at the time, I've been buying houses and flipping them, and we got caught right in the middle of it, and the market tanked, and we lost 2 houses. The bank took them, and it ruined our credit, like ruined our credit. And, it was a really hard time for me because I thought, okay, I did this. Like, I made this mistake. And never once did my husband say, I can't believe you did this. Like, that wasn't the situation at all. But it was the pressure I put on myself. And what I realized from that is that things are going to happen. It's how you move forward after that. And it's kind of like, yeah, that happened. I can either stay in that moment and wallow in my sorrow, or I can say, okay, what am I going to do next? Right. And that's really what I learned from that was that what am I going to do next? And guess what? We have great credit today. So it does move forward when you stop giving yourself such a hard time.
Thank you for sharing that heartwarming story, right? Like especially talking about your husband not doing the blame, but also thinking about how do you move forward. And it's a great lesson for people to hear because you pivoted and you became successful and you rebuild everything back. And here you're now sharing your story in your book to help people develop their confidence. You've spoken often about how we talk about ourselves and the dialogue internally we have. How do you help people shift their mindset and also having more grace in themselves?
Yeah.
Because
So I
that's
have,
not easy.
yeah, it's not easy. I mean, there's nothing about, when we've treated ourselves a certain way for so long, it's very hard to change habits. I mean, we know that from studies, we know that from any kind of research out there. Like, it takes a while to change, to create a habit, to change the way you do things. So I have a little mindset hack that I like to use, and I call it a hack because it's a very quick thing that you can use anytime you start getting, all up in your head that something isn't the right thing. And so it's a very creative title. It's called Control Alt Delete.
Mhm.
So, but back in the day, that's what we would use to reset a frozen computer. Sometimes our minds freeze too, right? We spiral in self doubt. We get caught in the comparison game. Control Alt Delete is now when you do that, it brings up Task Manager. I guess it manages your
Yeah.
tasks. I don't really know, but when we get stuck in that frozen moment of saying, "Oh my gosh, what do I do next?" Control is about awareness because so often we go through our days doing the same things we always do, right? The way we talk to ourselves is the same. The way we have these thoughts that come into our head, like they're all negative. There's a research study out of Queen's University in Canada that shows that we have around 6,200 thoughts every day. 85% of them are negative,
Mhm.
95% of them are repetitive. So day after day, the same negative thought on repeat. So understanding that we're having those thoughts is the first step. So control is awareness. Okay. What's the thought that's running your day? Is it true? Is it helpful? Most of the time, the answer is no. Alt is about alternative. Tell yourself a better story, right? Because your thoughts become your reality. Your words become your reality. So if you're telling yourself all the time, like you're not going to succeed, you're not going to succeed, you're not going to put in the work to succeed because you're already expecting that's what's going to happen. So instead of asking yourself, what if I fail? How about when I succeed? Instead of saying you can't do something, yes, you can. And the response to that is watch me. Yes, I can do this. And finally, delete. Delete the habits and beliefs that don't serve you. Delete the comparison game. Delete the belief that you're not enough. Delete the idea until you wait to feel ready. We see this with so many people across the board in life and work. Oh no, I'm not going to apply for that. I'm not ready. Waiting until you feel ready is like waiting for IKEA instructions to actually make sense. It is not going to happen. So do it now, do it scared, do it anyways. So that's my little hack when I'm all up in my head about stuff, and it really helps my clients say, "Okay, take a step back. This isn't real. This is a story I'm telling myself. Let me change the story."
Thank you for sharing the alt control delete framework. And now whenever I look at alt control delete, I'll remember you instead
Yes.
of the Microsoft.
Thank you.
And I think, and it seems, and the way you describe it's really very intuitive and easy to follow. So thank you for sharing that. Looking ahead, what do you hope leaders and just regular people out there that take away from what we talk about today?
I would say like one of the biggest things is really understanding that you are a leader, right? Leadership happens in the everyday moments. And it's so important that we acknowledge that because when we believe we're a leader, we show up differently. Like we come to
Mm.
work differently. We're ready to do things instead of waiting for someone to tell us what to do. We don't need that external validation. So, really thinking about that, yes, I am a leader. Let me think of all the things that I did today, right? Those are leadership decisions. And, the other thing that I would say that I really want people to take away is that we so often talk about change in this world. We need We need to change this. We need to change that. But I truly believe that we don't need to change who we are. We need to change the way we see ourselves. And again, that starts with how you talk to yourself.
I love that last part, to change the way we see ourselves. If my audience wants to reach out to you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Best way is my website, which is SimoneKnego.com, SimoneKnego. You can find me all over social media, Simone Knego. I'm still the only Simone Knego in the world. So pretty easy to find me. And then you can find my new book, Real Confidence, a simple guide to go from unsure to unshakable at realconfidencebook.com.
Thank you, Simone, for your time. Really appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thank you.